the light bulbs are going off in people's heads all the time while they're doing exercises with other people and helping each other out. And then people are like, oh, I can do it like this. You shouldn't judge the people in front of you. What you should be doing is listening to the message and taking something from it. So what we've done is create a mentoring business to kind of help people in 4 key areas: financial literacy, career development, your mindset and motivation, and then how to navigate your health.
Okay, Chris Cummings. You are a licensed master trainer of NLP for business, right? Which
Yes.
means that you literally know how to read minds in business settings. So here's my first question. If I were a CEO with zero knowledge of NLP and wanted to walk into any boardroom and get exactly what I want using NLP skills, what is the first thing that you would teach me?
Great question. And what made you decide on a CEO?
Oh, because I am a CEO.
Okay, now I'm getting to it. No, that's like, I got this friend.
Exactly.
I see what you've done there. I see what you've done there, Pollyanna. Great, I like that. Well, I guess the first thing is that it's the clarity of what you want. That's a really, really, really important thing. What's the purpose of the meeting that you're going to? What outcome are you actually looking for? By the end of that meeting, what would have happened for you to believe it's been a successful meeting? So from my perspective, that's what I would say as an NLP master trainer, doesn't matter, trainer, any practitioner, doesn't matter. That's the one thing I'll be asking the CEO.
So, how much are you enjoying this episode? Imagine leveling up every week. Join Next Level Pro Institute, where our motto is practice, practice, practice. This is the place where you will gain real tools, deeper skills, and a community that will accelerate your growth. I will see you there. Click on the link, and we'll see you soon.
Nice, very good. And so take me a little bit back to the beginning. How did you first discover NLP and what made you say, oh, I want to learn this, I want to master this?
Okay. So it's interesting because I will take you back to when I first consciously knew about NLP, but then I'll also bring you to a point of realization when I realized that actually I knew NLP even before then, right? I'll clarify that for you. So it's year 2000, right? And I'm a senior manager working for a pharmaceutical industry, and I've got one team which has been made up of 2 teams, really, right? So we have a few mergers and a few scenarios where the sales force was restructured. I was still in charge of some managers who were then in charge of about 70 sales reps, and we were all kind of together. But because of this restructure, I'd inherited some managers and others worked for me before. So I had these kind of loyalists and these others that had come from another division, and there was a lot of mistrust between the managers. And in fact, to the point where I'd actually gone to HR with a couple of them and said, if you guys don't work together, then there could be further dire consequences for you because you're leaders and you're leading a bigger team. So we tried to do it the logical way. And I went to our training department, our training team, and kind of said, this is a real challenge. I really need some help. And they said, look, there's a company that we know. I won't name the company, and they've got this guy, and his name's Glenn. He's really good. I think you should use him. And I'm thinking, how's this guy going to help? Anyway, so he comes along. What happened was I had a team meeting, and it was around the Christmas time, right? So it's Christmas time. I've got this team meeting. Remember, this team aren't the most trusting or anything. And this guy, Glenn, shows up. He starts doing some weird exercises. And I'm like, oh, what's all this about? He's trying to challenge our beliefs a bit and shift our paradigms, stuff I've heard before, you know? And then he says, okay, everybody, we're going to make a movie. And I remember, actually, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but I look at Glenn and I say to him, Glenn, I don't think you understand. This team hates each other. How is a movie going to help? At which point he kind of pulled me aside and said, trust the process. It will work. Mm-hmm. So anyway, he then continues, does the workshop. They all do the movie. And at the end of the 2-day workshop, these guys are all saying to each other, you know, it'd be really great if we met socially. Wouldn't it be good if we could do things outside of work? I think we could probably get together. If we do that, then maybe we can begin to work together. So I'm stunned. I'm thinking, what has happened over these 2 days? So anyway, I then moved forward to 2004. I'm working for another company. I brought Glenn in to do some work. I then leave the company because I'm setting up on my own in 2006. And I contact Glenn and say, Glenn, I'm going to set up on my own. What do you do exactly? So unbeknown to me, Glenn is an NLP trainer, right?
Oh.
So anyway, he says to me, I spent the whole day with him. He's telling me all the things he does. And I'm thinking, yeah, I could do that. And then he says to me, I said, what qualifications do you think you need, Glenn? And he said, you've got all the qualifications already. You've got all the experience, you've got life experience, and you've got all that work experience. You've got enough. He said, but do some other tools like insights, color energies and stuff. And also, I would suggest you do NLP. And I'm thinking, what's NLP? And he said, well, I could explain it to you, or you could attend a session which is happening in April with Paul McKenna. And I was like, Paul McKenna? And he said, yeah. And I said, isn't that guy that used to make people cluck like chickens on the TV? He said, yeah, he doesn't do any of that kind of stuff anymore. He spends a lot of time making sure people learn and really begin to be better people. And I'm like, okay, that sounds quite interesting. And he said, there's another guy who's there. His name's Dr. Richard Bandler. He swears a lot, but get over it. And I was like, yeah, fine. And I managed to convince the company that I was leaving to pay to do this training.
Nice.
So I go along to the NLP. Now, bearing in mind, I've come from a super corporate background.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people, there's hundreds of people in this hotel room. And I'm looking around at these people and I'm thinking, they're not my kind of people. And, I'm used to people in suits, who's the smartest person in the room, all of that kind of stuff, right? But they weren't like that. And anyway, but after a day or two, I realized you shouldn't judge the people in front of you. What you should be doing is listening to the message and taking something from it on the front. So that's what I began to do. And then I realized after all that time that I was really enjoying the process, the program, the speakers, Dr. Bandler. It was fantastic. So that was my first kind of encounter with NLP, and that was in 2006, April 2006. Although I used to be an athlete when I was a kid, so I was lucky enough to run for my county and do England school stuff, and and just have some great fun doing a lot of really high level athletics at a very young age. And my coach, used to do things like, she used to get me to visualize winning the race. She used to get me to turn down the sound in my voice, which kind of used to say, can you still run fast? which isn't helpful when you're just about to start a race, right? So she used to get me to actually spend a lot of time adjusting the submodalities so that I could actually have a clear path to run and be successful, right? And she helped just in one season me reduce my time by half a second in the 100 meters. So that's a lot in 100 meters. So so I'd already kind of encountered NLP, and it wasn't until I went to that session with Paul McKenna and Dr. Bandler that I realized that I'd been doing some as a young sports person, but also I took some of that into my working environment with me as well. So it wasn't strange when we were doing lots of visualization exercises, submodality discovery exercises, all that kind of stuff, because I'd already done that as a child.
It was familiar already.
As an adult, yeah. So hopefully that's answered your question.
No, and this is interesting because, I mean, you say you were coming from the corporate world, you go into this room, I imagine, with Paul McKenna and Dr. Bandler. I bet there was hypnosis there, right? That probably...
The whole time.
and that was something that you usually don't see in your business settings.
Not at all.
I
remember... I won't name the company I was working for, but as a group of senior managers, we went off to see this kind of motivational guru type person. And he was doing all these things, and he was doing all kinds of visualizations, but he was doing tapping. And I just remember looking around at my colleagues, and they were giggling all the way through it.
Yeah.
So, in those days, there was a lot of kind of, they thought it was woo-woo, but now, of course, you can't turn on any Instagram feed without seeing something which is links to NLP, some kind of offshoot of NLP, or stuff that really Dr. Bandler and John Grinder have been doing for 50 years, but now other people are repackaging it in other ways, So
I imagine, I don't know if this happens in the corporate world but in other areas, what I've encountered also is like many people think that NLP, they call it, oh, that's pseudoscience, BS, or whatever, And so how do you respond? Do you ever encounter people, trying to discount NLP as something that is kind of like woo-woo or to pseudoscience or something like that? And do you encounter that at all? And how do you respond?
Well, sometimes I have in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
Much less now. I think a lot of people are now realizing that neuroscience itself is kind of caught up with the stuff that Dr. Bandler and John Grinder have been doing for 50 years.
50 years, exactly. Right? Yeah.
So actually, it's so much easier now. You can pick up any book, and most of it has got kind of NLP in there, and also the kind of scientific, logical, rational kind of explanations.
Mm-hmm.
And so actually now I've much less.
Yeah, which is a good thing. I feel that there's this, improvement, open-mindedness about learning about this, and that's a really good place to be right now. I think that people are trying to look into improving themselves, and that's great. But you trained with Dr. Bandler directly, is that right?
Well, I mean, I went to Dr. Bandler's seminars, right? He didn't come around my house and train me, right? Although sometimes I feel like he's in my head. But seriously, I went to a lot of seminars with Dr. Bandler because I wanted to go to the source of NLP. I didn't want it kind of the third or fourth disciple or whatever. I just wanted it from the mouth of the person who I'd read some books, and I wanted to hear how the backstory of the stories that were in the book, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I've continued that for 20 years. So there we are, nearly 20 years.
So the way he teaches you, it's something, I mean, there is a reason why you want to go to the source, right? Because the way he teaches you something that you cannot find anywhere else. right? So what is it that he
Absolutely,
did
yeah.
to you, or what was your experience in that sense, that you find it so unique?
Well, the first thing is, and I guess, you can't at all not be massively impressed if you go along to a seminar and watch him do some amazing work, just tremendous change work with people on the stage, and do it quickly, and then say, you know what, you can do that, and you're going to do that now, right?
Yeah.
So for me, that was brilliant. And actually, the whole environment then is one of people reaching out to other people to help them. Initially, you're worried about yourself, but you're worried that the other person will think that you can't help them, right? But actually, when you really begin to allow yourself just to get in the flow, there's nothing better than working with other people in those seminars, and the atmosphere is just amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So,
It is.
so I love that, and I love watching when people first start in one of Richard's seminars, and then by the end they're they've gone from like to wow, by the end, and it happens to everyone, and it happens to all of us who are lucky enough to sometimes be able to work on the team and see it at different levels, and really experience it from all angles. It's fantastic. Really.
Yeah. And what made you decide to move on? Because you did the practitioner, I imagine the master practitioner with the society, but then you at some point decided, I want to train people, right? What made you decide to do that?
So just to explain that kind of journey I went on from, so obviously I did the 7 days, right? With it was Dr. Bandler, Paul McKenna, and Michael Neal, right? And it was great. I walked away from there. So the first decision I made instantly was I'd literally just started my training company. So the day of the end of the NLP seminar was the Sunday. The Monday I had my first client, right? And so the first thing I decided to do was not use slides, because I'd been there for 7 days and not seen one slide.
Nice.
Right? We all had a workbook, but actually we knew nothing about the workbook at the beginning. It wasn't until the end that you realize, wow, look, all this stuff we've learned, which is the best way, in my opinion, to use workbooks, right? So I decided straight away not to use slides anymore. If I did it, be for a video or to give a large number of people instructions, right? But that would be it. And that's paid off, because the company that I set up called OTD, our training department, that's still part of our modus operandi, to use a minimal number of slides and create a fantastic experience. So that's what that seminar did for me. So it taught me how to create an amazing experience for the learners, and that it wasn't about the person on the stage, but it's about the people in the audience. And that's the important thing. So that's what I walked away from there learning. To say that I knew every aspect of NLP, that would be an understatement. I knew nothing. I knew nothing. I walked away from there thinking, anchoring, Milton model, meta model, what are they? And I kept trying to learn, and I continued to read Richard's books and some of the other books that were around as well, just so I could, build my knowledge. Because what I did was I walked away from there realizing I had more questions than I had answers, right? Mm-hmm. So when they were advertising the master practitioner, so remember I did the NLP prac in April, right? And then in the October, Richard was coming back, right? And so I thought, okay. So in the meantime, what I did was, all the training I did was laced with NLP completely. While I was having people do exercises, some of the things that we did during the practitioner, I was getting people to do, and it was linked to selling, coaching, all the kinds of soft skills, presenting, all of those sorts of things that we were training. I made sure that there was lots of parts of NLP in there, All right. So that then helped me to continue to learn it, but that still didn't mean I knew enough. So I went, I was still curious. So I went and did my master practitioner. And when I did the master prac, that's when I was like, ooh, okay. Right. Because then I began to see, and this time it was Dr. Richard Bandler, John Laval, and Kathleen Laval. Right?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so it was an unbelievably amazing experience again. And this time I thought, oh, now I can understand what they're talking about when they're talking about the meta model. I now know. And now I can actually do some of the Milton models when I'm starting to do my trainings, right? And I thought, oh, this is fantastic. I now understand what they're doing when they're talking about strategy elicitation. And now I'm getting to grips with how to use submodalities in a way which can help people to make a change. So all of these things were I picked up during the master practitioner.
Nice.
So hopefully that answers that question.
No, and then you were incorporating it right away because you had your training company. So you were already a trainer, right? And so that's why you immediately, when you did the licensed trainer of NLP, that matched what you were doing.
Yes, right? But also think about it. I was also using as much of the NLP strategies, tools, techniques in running the business as well, right? So, when I'm trying to sell to a customer.
You were reading minds in the business.
Yeah, well, yeah, I love this reading minds. But I was thinking about my own thinking. That's what I was doing, and making sure that I was really thinking on purpose when I was doing my pitching, when I was writing documents to send to people, the language we used when we're sending and receiving emails, how we leave messages on our answer machine. If you listen to my answer machine, you get a cheerful message, not just some sort of autonomous, any old message, So lots of ways that I was really spending a lot of time using the applications of NLP within our business,
nice. Yeah.
So that was really good. I continue to do the same.
Very good. But you, in your training, you teach it's a licensed business practitioner of NLP, right? Like with this business specialization, how does that differ from the regular licensed practitioner of NLP?
I was going to say, I also do the regular NLP practitioner.
Oh, you do both. Okay, great.
Yeah. But I guess the key thing with the business practitioner is that we spend a lot of time, once we've gone through a lot of the techniques, especially in the practitioner, we kind of try and spend a lot of time looking at what the business application of some of these great tools are, and how we can use them in business. And it's so, the great thing about that is the light bulbs are going off in people's heads all the time while they're doing exercises with other people and helping each other out. And then people are like, oh, I can use it like this. Or even when we're talking about language, sometimes people are like, oh, I've just changed how I spoke to my team and I got such a much better response, So there's all these things. Or I just sent a different email to a customer and now they've given me an appointment, whereas before they wouldn't, So these little things are things that we can do throughout the whole program, which are linked to business in and of itself.
And you have been really successful in this because one of the things that you one day became was a master trainer, right? You don't get to study to become a master trainer, I imagine. Tell us a little bit more about that.
And really, that's down to Richard and John and Kathleen.
So something in you.
So you have to speak to them to actually get from them why I'm a master trainer, right? Okay. Although I think sometimes when I'm doing the training, I think the key thing about all of this is what and how you are conducting yourself as a trainer.
Yeah, because you have a really huge and successful training business with OTD. You were telling me you have 100
Yeah.
trainers. Is that right?
Yeah, 100 plus. And actually the great thing is now, my business partner and I built that up over the years. We weren't planning to make it like 100 plus business or anything like that, really. We always just have this joke because I always used to say, I want to help change people's lives. And my business partner, Andy, used to say, I just wanted to pay the mortgage. But anyway, between the two of us, we managed to grow a business which scaled well. But that's because of the way, I guess, we both, where we came from a corporate background, having to work with big, large portfolios of products and people and, all of that. I guess your mind's already stretched,
Yeah.
So then fill it with good stuff and allow yourself to expand it so that you can get even more. That's the important thing. And for us, all we were doing, we started off with doing a few workshops, and then some people said, oh, I'm from Spain, can you do this in Spanish? And I'm like, okay, let's find a Spanish person. And then we found them, and then we would train them the way we train, so they still got the same experience as if it was Andy and I in Spanish, though. And then that's how it happened. So we've ended up with 100 plus people and 20 plus languages spoken at least, and really enjoying duplicating and making it work. And of course, most people are getting some NLP as a delegate as well. And of course, I run NLP trainings as well within our business.
Yeah. Yes, and I love what you're saying about like how you are applying the NLP skills, everything inside your business, for your business. And I think that's something. Maybe you can give us, our audience, some specific examples, maybe of a situation, a business situation where you use NLP, maybe that it completely changed an outcome. And can you think something like that?
Yeah. Well, in fact, the whole business, right from the beginning, we have spent a lot of time using NLP and processes and everything. But let me just give you a great example, right? This is the first ever pitch we did with our business, right? Okay. So this is I'm taking you back to 2006 October, right? Okay, so 19 years ago, and I've got a customer, and and I'm doing a little bit of work. She's got a relatively small business, and I'm doing some work with her. Anyway, she says, right, I want to introduce you to this big pharmaceutical company, right? So I want you to meet their managing director. He wants a lot of training. If you get the work, I want 15% of whatever it is you charge. I'm like, okay, sounds good. So I went to now I just finished my master prac, right?
Yeah.
And so I went to meet the person. And one of the things that John had taught us is never turn up with a already made PowerPoint deck for the person. Actually turn up, if you're going to turn up with anything, come with a notepad and pen and actually just ask them really great, insightful questions. So anyway, I've turned up there, and I asked some really great, well-formed outcomes, questions. Yeah. So, I made sure that, as they say, that they're stated in the positive, that they're initiated and maintained by the individual. So it's the person's outcome. And I got him to think about, what does it look like when you achieve the outcome? What does it sound like? What will it feel like? Let's imagine it's 12 months from now, all this kind of stuff. And then, I really made sure that there was no the whole ecology was perfect for him, right? Mm-hmm. And then he said, so this was the first meeting. So he was really buzzing after that, right? And the other thing I'd done is obviously I'd anchored a good feeling with me and our business. Okay. So anyway, he says to me, okay, so now I've met you. It's brilliant, really good. Now you're up against 4 other companies and our HR. So when you come along to the meeting and do your presentation, I really want a menu of offerings. So anyway, I left the room, and one of the things I remember John Laval talking about, neuro-linguistic programming, and saying that he's really fascinated with the linguistic part. And very often, when what people are actually saying literally should be taken such, and then kind of parrot phrased back. So I've left the room, and I'm thinking, he said menu. I'm going to make my presentation to him like a menu. So in other words, rather than, slide 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm going to have them as kind of the descriptions as kind of almost like a choice on the menu. And he can pick wherever he wants to go, because just like when you go in a restaurant, you don't say, I'll have that. You might say, I'll have that. And then on page 3, I'll have that. And then I'll have that. So I went in, and my skills in PowerPoint weren't that great at that time, but I knew somebody that could do that. So for each button was like a menu choice, right?
Nice.
He loved it. So he was like, oh, great. So he said, I'll start there. Boom. And then up that comes, and then we show what we can do there. And then he goes, okay, now we're going to go here. And he had, in fact, we were supposed to just have half an hour. He was there for 45 minutes. And I took that as a good sign. He basically told his PA to tell the other people to wait a bit longer. Anyway, we smashed it, and we absolutely won that piece of work. And the rest is history.
Nice.
But then I realized, when we are actually having proposals, or not proposals, but when we're working with the customers, use their language. Because when you use their language, then you are so much more connected to them than when you try to interpret what they've said.
Yes.
Right? You're breaking rapport with them. Right? But so very often I'm using their language in the emails, not parrot, not completely exactly, but maybe matching half of the sentence. And people come back, and they normally say, and I say, please let me know if I've missed anything. And they always come back and say, no, that was spot on. And so I've learned very much to really listen to people's language,
That's good.
John was a great teacher for me for that. And he still is, by the way.
No, that's major, because you're meeting them, where they are. I love the menu thing. I thought that was super cool. I mean,
yeah.
You heard him, and then you just went ahead and acted using your skills, or actually, having someone else do it.
Someone else help me. Yeah.
It's always good, if either you learn or hire.
So. Yeah, that's exactly. Find a who. That's what
exactly, Rick. Yeah. So then, is there any other example that you would like to share from the business perspective? Because otherwise, I have other questions that I know that you have ventures happening.
I've got to tell you one, because again, this is another John Laval story. So sorry, John. Right? So I go along to their seminar, Persuasion Engineering. Right? Yeah. Now, what's really funny is Persuasion Engineering is one of the best trainings you could ever do in terms of selling, influencing, persuasion. No doubt about it, right? So I've gone along there, and I'm sitting in the back of the audience, and I've got this massive pitch. It was a six-figure, multiple six-figure pitch to do, right? And for the first time for many years, I heard that one of the key things that you need to do is to obtain your customers' motivation strategy, decision strategy, and convincer strategy, right? Now, 2 of those I kind of knew before, but I forgot the convincer one, right? So I was like, oh, I'm missing that in my pitch. So I ran up to my room, left the room, ran up to the room, changed that in the pitch, right? Added that in because it was a selling skills program that we were looking to win the work for. We won the work.
Nice.
And again, we were up against another training company, and they basically said to me that they were convinced by my convincing part about convincers. Right. So that was really good. And John said, "Where's my percentage?" when I mentioned it to him. But anyway, that was really, really another great example. I have so many examples like that. I could be talking all day just with examples of how we've used NLP in a fantastic way, and it's led to great long-term relationships with those customers as well, which is brilliant.
Awesome. No, that's amazing. I mean, it just creates this sense of like community, basically, because you are you're creating a relationship with a customer that goes kind of beyond sometimes, and it's and with other partners, I imagine.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what tends to happen. Very often they want to know what this kind of stuff that we're doing, these visualizations, these kind of well-formed outcomes, these kind of anchoring exercise, some of the things that we're doing in the training. And then we tell them it's NLP. And this is why I think very often people don't have any kind of aversion to it, because they are experiencing it in a very positive way in our trainings. And then, of course, it's only natural to want to go on the NLP training, and many of them do. I've got many customers who've got their certificate from Richard's, and they've either been with me and done the training with me, or managed to get them to go along to a seminar, and they've done their certification there. So either way, it's a win-win. So
that's awesome.
So that's great.
No, that's good. And something I wanted to ask you is, I know you have a new venture happening.
Oh yeah.
I want to hear more about that. Can you share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So and I mentioned the fact that well, maybe I didn't, maybe I didn't. We've been running the business for nearly 20 years now. So for me, we now have that business basically running itself. It's not running itself. We have a fantastic managing director, Becky Farnworth, and she's doing a brilliant job running the business. And that has freed up both my time and my business partner's time, right? So one of the things I've always wanted to do was kind of give back to the underrepresented communities in some way, shape or form, and really help them to be able to obtain careers, jobs in a true meritocracy. So one of the ways that I thought would be a great way would be to create a mentoring business, but not just any mentoring business. We wanted to do it in a way which kind of matched people, right? So what we've done is another business partner of mine, a good old friend from university, we both kind of came to the idea, and I thought it'd be great if it was like a dating app, obviously not for dating, but the whole point would be like matching. So if you wanted to be an engineer and you're kind of 18, you might have just started university and you're thinking about engineering, you're doing engineering there. And, what you do is you go on the app as a mentee and you find this person and, they're an engineer. They kind of look like me, or they've got the similar background to me. And they've got some great qualifications. They've got a good job. Right, I'm going to see if request for them to be a mentor. And then the mentor will see the request. And then if they've got too many mentees, they put that person on a waiting list. But 9 times out of 10, they can just accept. And then these mentors have been trained by us. They've gone through some rigorous training. And basically, they will then be qualified, and they are qualified to mentor these younger people. They might not, initially it will be younger, but I think as time goes on, I think the mentoring relationships will change. We're 5 months, 6 months into the business, and we've just finished training all the mentors. In fact, today I'm still recruiting some. So tonight I'll be recruiting, and on Thursday recruiting some more. So I'm constantly recruiting mentors and then putting them into training. And then as the first university year starts, we have one chap who's going around to universities and basically connecting people from an underrepresented group or anyone who feels vulnerable or needs help. He's going to talk to them about our mentoring app, and they can sign up for £10 a month. And for as long as the mentoring relationship lasts, typically between 6 and 12 weeks, because we don't want it to be counseling and some kind of dependency. But then that mentee can find someone else to mentor them if they want, and behind all of that sits a whole suite of tools, of videos, all kinds of things to kind of help people in 4 key areas. And those areas are financial literacy, career development, kind of your mindset and motivation. And then, from another perspective as well, kind of how to navigate your health, and make sure that you're in good shape. There's no point doing the career development and half killing yourself. And this goes back to, when you're setting well-formed outcomes, to make sure that everything is in ecological balance as well.
Absolutely.
So we're building tools in all of those areas.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. And tell me, who are these mentors? I mean, you're saying you're recruiting mentors. What qualifies to become a mentor in this program for you?
Firstly, I think you need to want to give back to the community. It's not about you; it's about the people that you want to mentor. And normally, people who've been coaches, or they've worked in corporations for a while and kind of know how to navigate. The way I look at it, the mentees are a little bit like people who haven't been taught the rules of life, sometimes,
Yeah.
like they've turned up to a party and they've turned up in fancy dress, and actually it wasn't that kind of party. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, so that is the whole purpose of the mentoring. It's really about helping people navigate in different areas to really help them to be able to turn up for work and achieve those next level. And everyone knows there's a meritocracy, and they haven't been given a kind of hand up, as it were. So that's the way we want to look at it.
And the mentors are from a particular specialty area, like are they all business, or they come? You said engineers. You have different kind of.
Anybody who's kind of has, in their own perspective, done something in their lives which they can be proud of, and then and other people might want to emulate them.
That is so cool. Yeah.
So I want people like police officers on there. Firefighters, all kinds of people, because basically what we want to do is show a lot of these underrepresented communities that actually these jobs are possible, and there are people out there doing it quite happily, and happy to kind of show you how it works as well,
Yeah. And they're successful in their own right, and they can share their success. No, that's great, because you're exposing people to something that probably they would have never been exposed to at all without this.
That is my point. And I think that's the key thing. And of course, all of our mentors will be in our country, that's called DBS checked. So, we have to make sure that we maintain some really good standards of integrity and compliance when the mentees and the mentors are working together. No different to when we're on the team and we're working with people who are delegates on Richard and John and Kathleen seminars. So we just want to make sure that our mentors are held to the highest standards.
That's great. And you use, of course, I imagine all your NLP training and principles, everything you're giving them so that they can easily communicate what their experience is with these students. And is that done live or online, the interaction between mentee and mentor?
Oh, so actually it's done on the app. It's
On the
brilliant.
app.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So basically, the mentee just types in when they want
Nice.
their appointment, and then on the appointment day, you just click on it, and it's like doing a FaceTime. It's great,
Mhm.
and you can share documents on there. And of course, we've got chat function, and actually, one of the great things is if you're a mentor, then you can actually post your business on the communities page, because
Nice.
again, if you're running a business and you've been on the training with other mentors, we've created this network, then we should trust each other and begin to start working with each other and using each other's businesses, so that's the other part of that's the positive of becoming a mentor, not just the kind of fantastic feeling you get when you help people achieve, but also being able to work with other mentors and a lovely network. And we will be having face-to-face meetings, as time goes on, and run seminars. We've done everything online so far, and as we move on in the future, we'll do stuff face to face.
And how long has this been program running?
5 months.
5
Literally
months?
5 months, yeah.
Wow.
So I've spent the most of the time recruiting and training the mentors, and then we'll start with the mentees in the next few weeks. We've been field testing what it looks like for mentees. So I've got a couple of great people who've kind of gone through the mentee process and thoroughly enjoyed it. So, but now we're looking obviously to scale that up, just as we've scaled up the mentors. So, and also we've kind of done the numbers and worked out how many mentors and then how many mentees the mentors can actually work with in their spare time. Mm-hmm. So there you go. So looking forward to the next stage.
Yes, and the thing is, only 5 months, and you had some people do the program, I imagine for testing or just actually doing it. And are you expecting any measurable result out of here?
Yeah, absolutely. And as time goes on, what we're going to do is focus on what are those measurable results. What are the things that we maybe measure from a financial perspective, as well as a kind of subjective perspective, because that's the subjective bit's really the most important bit, because once a mentee finishes and they're like, wow, I've been through my mentoring, I've managed to get a promotion, or which means my salary is now going to be increased by 10% or 15% or 20%. These are the kind of measurables that we're looking for. Or, because of the mentoring, I'm now better at presenting myself and I've just won a pitch, or I went for an interview and they said my presentation really helped win the job. So there's all these things that we'll be looking to gain, as well as rating the mentor as well, because all the mentors will be star rated, and that includes myself. So to make sure that the mentees get the best possible experience, no different to when we are working with our corporate customers in training. We expect to deliver the best.
That's awesome. And there's always this bottom line that drives it, right? It does need to make sense, at all these levels, because we're talking a business. And
absolutely.
That's a reality, and it's great. And so how is this project that you have now, important for you, like from, a heart perspective? Like, what is it that drove you to start thinking about this?
Well, it's really interesting because there's the heart, there's the head. The heart bit is kind of, I've been on this planet now for 58 years, right? And I kind of have seen lots of stuff. And I realized that very often, if you want good things to happen, you need to do them yourself, right? And I guess from the head side, I've always been one of these people who said, oh, why don't you talk to him? I'll introduce you. And then suddenly good things happen over there, right? I'm not looking to get anything from it. but you know, this is kind of an extension of that, really. And it's been fantastic meeting loads of new people. I've become part of lots of different societies that are linked to mentoring and networking and all this kind of stuff. And it's great just to get your head out of your channel from time to time and look around and see what's out there, because there are some amazing people out there doing amazing work. And so that's why it's great. And then some of them are now mentors. You think, wow, look at the caliber of people we've got doing the mentoring, you know. So that really kind of is head and heart all mixed together, you know, and it will continue to be the same.
It's beautiful, because it's kind of like it's this powerful motor that makes you move forward, you know, and
Yeah.
and then you can find joy in the work that you're doing at all levels.
Exactly.
That's
So
cool.
yeah. I'm not a big proponent of saying you must do what you love, right? Because I sometimes that makes you then not love it, right? In the long run. But certainly, if what you're doing you're loving, fantastic, it's great, right? So you know, so, and that's why it then doesn't feel like a job, you know.
Exactly. I mean, it's important to have this purpose, you know, be purposeful for what you're
Yeah.
doing. Yeah. And if you love it, great. But there's many things about my business that I love, but that I don't like. I don't like doing
Yeah,
things. But you
yeah.
still have to do it, right? Anyway. So that's,
Exactly.
you know, so okay. And for listeners who would love to be part of this, you know, whether, I don't know, as mentors or even as supporters, I don't know if you're looking for support in that sense. No, is there a way for them to get involved? Or
Yeah, I mean, the easiest thing to do is go onto our website, which is baselinementoring.com. And actually there's a little button there that just kind of says download the app, so you can just easily download the app. And you know, then once you do that, I can see that you've joined, and then I'll contact you, and then we'll start a conversation about what you want to do as a mentor, you know. Or you can just contact me on LinkedIn and say you'd like to be a mentor. We've actually got a LinkedIn group now with over 100 members straight away. So, you know, so we continue to grow that as well. So yeah, there's lots of different ways to get hold of me. So yeah, that's
and we'll put all those links in the description of the YouTube so people can find
yeah,
it.
fantastic.
And wow, and so you're truly creating this huge community of amazing, successful people that can be mentors, you know, this pool of mentors that, you know, are going to be teaching these newer or younger generations of people, giving that exposure that they haven't had a chance to have, and now they can. I mean, I think that's lovely. Wow,
Yeah,
that's great.
yeah. And I think the key thing is to make sure we get results with all of this, you know, like you said, because then that will drive the machine, you know,
Oh,
and make it really
absolutely.
work well. You know,
Absolutely. Wow,
that's the
that's
important thing.
amazing.
So for me,
Well,
it's interesting because I'm right at the beginning. And of course, the last time I was right at the beginning was nearly 20 years ago. And so it's exciting me to really put that effort in, you know, and get new results. So it's great.
it's good. It's good. And many times, I mean, me coming from, you know, an employee mindset, right? Having academia, then government, you know, still being an employee, you know, like being able to even transition to this entrepreneurial mindset, it was hard. It was, you know, it was great to see examples, right? And you probably
Yeah.
are one of the people that you are an example that I tap, hey, Chris, you know, so that's nice. But I love it that, you know, others can have that exposure,
Yeah.
because in our society we're not taught those things, we're not taught
No,
those skills, so
no.
this is
You're
great.
Yeah, you're right. We're not taught any of those things at school, are we? So
Would be nice if they did, you know, but it's so it's great that you're doing that, and you know, I applaud you for it. That's
no, not
amazing
at
way
all.
of
And it's not just me. It was my friend Tony as well. Tony Beck
Mhm.
is a world-renowned physiotherapist, actually. So you know, we're both doing nothing to do with what we normally do on a day-to-day basis. But we could see there's a need out there, and actually, rather than asking for money and handouts or any of that kind of thing. We decided we're just going to do it ourselves and grow with like-minded people that will then help other people to become like-minded. So, you know, it's a team effort. So there we go.
Wow. That's amazing. Great. Thank you, Chris. It was a pleasure to have you here with us. I know that was top of the hour. No, wow. I know. I love it. And it's been great. I love to hear, you know, your story, everything, you know, how you've been using NLP with these business applications and also this new project that is, you know, pushing forward and helping society as a whole. I'm so looking for, I want to be a mentee. Right. No, it's good. No, it's great.